And welcome back to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. And ladies and gentlemen, we have an interview.
Woo.
We are joined by Richard Steiner Otoo, a SGA executive presidential candidate who also has prior involvement with the SGA and is currently the attorney general for the SGA. So, Richard, thank you for coming along.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem.
So, what made you want to decide to run for president of SGA?
That's a really complicated question. It's a decision that took me a long time to make because I had a lot of people telling me I should run ever since I would say beginning of my sophomore year. But I really decided to do it when I saw a lot of changes that I wanted to make within the org and on campus, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a lot. Like, I don't know if I want to take that on." And it actually happened because somebody was like, well, then why don't you change it? Because I noticed things that I didn't like, and that one quote of that one person who told me that was what really kind of changed my mind. I was like, okay, well, why don't I change it? So that was it.
Yeah. Speaking of changing, what are some of your goals if you're elected as SGA president?
I have a lot of goals. I literally have a whole website of them, and you can kind of find that in my bio on my Instagram. But kind of just to go into them, there are a lot of things that I want to do on campus, and my main goal is to change the SGA so that it serves students more. I want to have a lot of free services that the SGA offers. For example, like offering meal voucher plans for students who are experiencing food insecurities. I also want to advocate and place more lights on campus, specifically on the walk to transit, so it's safer for students at night. There are a lot of problems on campus that the administration might not even know of, and I kind of just want to also make those known. So I think that a good way of doing that is by introducing more town halls, more regular town halls, to speak with departments like res life, dining services, parking services, and that sort of thing, which I think are just a couple of the things that I wanted to do. Yeah.
So overall, it's just trying to find a way to make life on campus better for everybody. Now, for me, I'm going to be a senior next year. What would you like? How would you be able to help the those who those who be leaving Montclair State's undergrad program and going on to bigger and better things in life?
Well, a couple ways. I have a couple answers for that actually. I recently sat on a round table with Governor Phil Murphy with a representative from every single SGA from public universities across the state. And through this, a lot of things were brought up, a lot of concerns. And one major thing that was brought up was the inability for graduating students to get jobs directly out of college, which is a problem that's found across campus. And this was brought up a lot throughout the entire meeting. And although it's obviously limited what we could do, we can't offer jobs to every single student who graduates. I'd like to also provide resources. If you don't already know, SLAM has a budget of about $500,000 to do programming for students. And one thing that I want to do is to have different workshops for students exiting college so that they're prepared on things, how to have an interview, how to have a resume. And I think that that's just one thing that we could offer students in addition to what we already do for normal programming.
Now, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Now, encourage cameras in parking garages for student safety is one of your goals listed on your website. Now, why is that such a big advocacy point for you?
That is a main point for me because it doesn't involve me necessarily. I am a 6'5" large guy, and I generally feel safe on campus, but that's not the case for everyone, especially women on campus and women who have to walk alone at night. I've had to pick up my friends from transit from their classes and walk them to their buildings because they just don't feel safe. And I feel like that's something that shouldn't be happening in general. And I want to explore more ways to allow students to feel more safe on campus. But I know that that is just one thing that can be done immediately to make the area lighter at night and immediately make students feel more safe.
Yeah. So now, I'm also on your website. You're very passionate about the environment. How do you plan on working that into your role as a possible president of the SGA?
A lot actually. So one thing that I hope to do, or if you already don't know, I'm an environmental studies major, and I'm also very, very big on sustainability. So I want to make this campus more environmentally friendly. One thing that I hope to do is work with facilities to introduce more water filling stations here on campus. I I've gone and visited other colleges where they have actually stopped selling water bottles, and I kind of want to work towards that goal. So one thing that I would do, again, offering those free services, would be to get water bottles for every single student. Leading up to that, also introduce these new filling stations so that eventually we could wean Chartwells off of selling water bottles in all of our dining services, because that is a lot of water bottles that are not reusable. People don't reuse them. That is one thing. Also, I want to work on having more sustainable dining by introducing composting inside of the dining hall specifically. I think that that's something that could be done pretty easily, and it'll make a big difference.
Oh, that's huge right there. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, like you said before, you said all the other things, but what sets you apart from the other candidates? You mentioned, environmental health and just safety on campus. But what else sets you apart?
I think that my goals in general set me apart. I haven't really heard of any student coming up with these ideas. Um, and I think that just being so goal specific is really going to help me get started, because in this position, you can just leave it up to, let's see what happens, whatever. But I've been a part of the SGA and I've been a part of the executive branch for a long time. I also know the inner workings of the SGA, which kind of sets me apart as well. And just with all the experience that I have from leadership on campus, which through many different organizations is a lot, I also have an understanding of how to run an organization. And that's any organization, let alone a $1.7 million organization. But I definitely have that experience that I could use and transition into working with a team, building a team, and making sure that we're able to function, help other students on campus.
Yeah, you're just talking about leadership. What do you think are some good attributes and qualities for a president, like someone who's the president of the SGA can have?
I'm going to backtrack as well and also say, when I was considering running, before I'd even decided, I wanted to know whether or not I'd be able to do it. And I wanted to know what qualities a leader needed. And I looked to my peers for this, honestly. I looked to people who led the clubs and organizations that I was a part of, or other organizations. And there's so many different qualities that I've looked at and I've taken and I've been able to flip around. One thing, for example, is delegating. That is a huge thing. And the president has its presidential cabinet, which should have the ability to do so much on campus. They have a lot of power and reach. And that is one thing that I want to utilize to the fullest extent are the cabinet members who can reach out to different departments and handle organizing and programming themselves. Aside from that, just having that team building skill, it is a skill and something that I've learned and I'm still learning 100%. But just through managing other teams and other things, I've realized that it's all collaboration and it's all working together. And there are certain ways to build up a team to make it productive.
Now, do you believe that leadership is something that is some people are born with, or something that is taught?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that you have to be a little outgoing naturally to be a leader, and you want to be able to step in the forefront. But it is 150% learning. I could say in high school, even though I was a student leader, I was not a good leader looking back on it. And I think that just throughout my college career, I've learned so much about leading. It kind of changes your perspective because there are ways to approach a group so that everybody feels more comfortable and everybody feels more heard. And these are ways that I've recently just learned. And there are other things as well that I've learned through leadership workshops and a whole bunch of other places, and just watching other people that you pick up on. It's like, okay, well, I could implement that, or I could change that a little bit to make it work for me. So it's 100% learning.
Nice. Now I live in Bone, and walking out of my building this morning, I see this bright chalk that says "Vote for Richard" right in front. How else, besides all the chalk stuff around campus, are you trying to promote your campaign?
I am trying any and all way. As you can see, the chalk was a big one, and I'm glad you noticed it. I'm glad people are looking at it. Yeah, I put chalk all over campus, and I have the best campaign team in the world who helped me last night at midnight. Chalk all over campus, saying things like that. But I also have flyers in just about every single classroom in University Hall. I have flyers all over the Student Center and other buildings. Those are big ways that I've been trying to contribute. but of course, people don't always look at them. Another thing that I'm doing is social media, having people repost. But I think that the best way that I've been able to connect with other students is by having one-on-one conversations. Because when you explain what you want to do, your goals, your vision, they agree with it. Like, I haven't had a student be like, that is dumb, don't vote for him. I've had like really honest conversations where students have told me their problems as well, which is incredibly helpful for me to brainstorm and come up with new ideas that I want to implement. I was standing in the quad one day and I was handing out flyers to literally every single person in there. And this was like the day that it was like 80 degrees and everybody was outside. So I handed out like 100 flyers, but every single one I had an in-depth conversation with. And I think that that was just like incredibly invaluable.
Now, how have the campaign trails been during this election period?
I would say I've been campaigning hard. It has made it a little bit stressful, to the point where I've like even gone to some of my faculty members who I'm kind of close with and been like, I am stressing. And they kind of just let me know, like, you're stressing because you want it. And I really do want it. So with that, I'm trying to take everything with a grain of salt. I'm trying to not stress about it too much, even though I'm very, very passionate about it. Um, but all in all, I'm having like a great experience just trying to get out there and get my voice heard and everything.
Now, I know you touched on it a little bit before, but I know that a lot of people don't know what the SGA is or what they do. Would you mind explaining that to us?
Yeah,
a
of
little
course.
bit?
So the SGA stands for the Student Government Association of Montclair State University Incorporated. It actually functions as a nonprofit organization that works in conjunction with the school. So this nonprofit organization is designated, especially legally, as a charitable organization, and has a budget of about $1.7 million. It used to be more, but it's a little bit less now. And with this, it does mainly programming. So mainly, so like I mentioned, about $500,000 goes to slam programming. They put on events, they put on the concert. I know that they have a lot planned for this semester. So that's about a third of the budget. A good portion of the budget also goes to recognizing student organizations and funding them. So if you're interested in being a student organization, you can register basically anything, as long as you register correctly. And that is funded by the SGA, and you have the same equal budget. And the rest of it goes for different types of things like leadership training. A good amount of money goes to funding the food pantry and a whole bunch of other like charitable causes per se. And another big budget line is actually the SGA scholarships as well.
Nice.
Now, many students in Montclair. Oh, nice. So, why do you deserve my vote to be SGA president?
I think it's because I have the experience within the org to function. I know how it works from the inside. And beyond that, my goals. And if you agree with the goals and you agree with what I'm trying to do, I haven't yet had somebody been like, oh yeah, I don't know about that. I've had even my competitors' friends come up to me like, I 100% agree with everything that you're saying. I'm just not going to vote for you. And I'm just like, obviously that's why we have elections, so you can vote for who you want. But I want people to vote for the ideas that they agree with, you know? And if you agree with my ideas and if you agree and you believe that I'll be able to see that through and you have that trust in me, then I would greatly appreciate your vote.
Yeah. Now, where can we vote in this year's election and find you on socials?
So you can find me on social media at Richard_Steiner Otoo. And I have a whole bunch of information in my bio on the website as well. So you can go there. And you can also find the voting link in my bio. Beyond that, the voting is on Engage. So any MSU student can go on Engage and it's on the homepage right there. But if they wanted to, they could go to the SGA page, find the link for voting, and vote right through there.
Well, thank you, Richard.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's gonna. I'm excited to see what happens the next few weeks. So good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
And
I appreciate it.
No, I think you might have won my vote. So,
Yes, sir.
but we're going to take a quick break. And once again, Richard, thanks for being here. Just gonna